work. So, but you know, the challenge became we had done all of this work over the course of just a matter of a few months to build out a new brand, a new system, brand guidelines. We felt pretty confident in it, but we didn't know. I mean, we had done so much work in kind of the initial stages of connecting with community and understanding what their needs are. We didn't actually know, would this work? How would they embrace it? How do you actually go about launching something that's not for the conference room of 7 people, but that it's for hundreds of thousands of people? And it was at that moment that we came across something that we found really interesting. It's something that Douglas, our head of community, who had interviewed the hosts in New York and San Francisco and London a couple years prior, had come up with, and it's called the commitment curve. And this is the concept that there's different levels of commitment for people within a community, and this one's reflective of Airbnb. So at the top right, you have the people that invest the most amount of time and the most amount of energy in the brand. Of course, in our case, it's the 3 founders of the company. This is like their kid. So for them, they're investing the most. And then you have the people like myself who go to work every day and have a passion for what we're doing and are employees of the company. But you might actually argue the next step down are super hosts. These are people that host their homes frequently, that maybe have a primary income from Airbnb, that are typically kind of our most engaged, most loyal hosts. You might actually argue that those people are even more committed than employees, and we've argued that back and forth. And so on and so forth as you go down to people that are part of our community and maybe stay on Airbnb occasionally or host on Airbnb occasionally, but don't do so full time or aren't as engaged, on to people who don't even know about it. So why does this matter? Well, we saw this and we realized that the way that you launch something like this, that we really want to have bought in to by a community of people, is from the inside out. And of course, you have the founders involved. But the next step is to engage with our employees. We're talking about, at the time, about 800 to 900 people who spend every day of their lives, realistically, maybe not the weekend so much, although I feel like that kind of tends to be the case, engaged with the brand, thinking about the brand, working for the brand, and thinking about this community of people. So you really have to start from the inside out, and then work towards creating messaging and creating campaigns for the people that haven't heard of Airbnb yet. So coincidentally, you know, we'd finished this brand, we'd finished our guidelines, we had a message, and we had created this sense of what we stand for, which is a notion of belonging, and not just belonging, but belonging anywhere, the notion that you can go and stay on Airbnb and feel like you're at home anywhere in the world. So what's the best place? And coincidentally, we were in about February of last year, and we had for the first time all employees from around the world come to San Francisco for 3 days for a conference, essentially. We called it One Airbnb. So it was about the size of this audience here. And this was a concept that our founder, Brian, our CEO, came up with. And you can see the identity for it, which was designed by Derek, who's here, was to actually reflect all the faces. So we had someone who started as an intern, and even before she started as an intern, she's an incredible illustrator. She went to Art Center. We had her start to draw faces. And so for the first 3 weeks, she drew 800 faces. I mean, she just cranked through them. So every employee had their own system, essentially. When you got to the conference, everything had your face on it. We created stickers that people traded, so you'd walk around and you'd see people with stickers of other people's faces who they'd met that day. So I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent, but this was community. I mean, this was a group of 800 people that had come from around the world for 3 days to spend time together and that had this deep connection. This is also the top of the commitment curve. So these are the people that we felt needed to buy into this. These are the people that we wanted to really embrace this new identity and this new work. And so with a lot of trepidation, myself and Brian and Joe, 2 of the founders, presented this work to this audience for the first time. And you can imagine there was just all 3 of us, I think, were just shaking and your heart's beating out of your chest. And we were kind of amazed. We actually had a standing ovation. So it was like, we presented the kind of whole story, why we did this, the process for doing it, why we chose the typefaces that we chose. This is to a diverse audience, everybody from the legal team to the finance team to recruiting to design. We wanted to share everything. We didn't want it, nothing had to be a secret. We wanted everybody to understand it. We were 5 months away from launching this publicly, so it took a lot of trust in an audience of 800 people to say, we're showing you something that's totally confidential, but we want you to understand it now, and we want to share it with you now because we're all together. And sure enough, the reaction was incredible. Standing ovation, and people were just truly bought into this. So we felt like that was the right move to make. We felt like we'd gotten employees bought in. So then how do you extend that out? How do you get Superhosts?